Hola, hola, buenas tardes, noches, días. Bienvenidos más a un episodio más de Trascendencia en Acción. And I am so delighted because on this episode, we're going to be covering an amazing topic for something happening here in Wisconsin and the Midwest. So with us, we have some amazing guests, leaders of our community, and we are celebrating Midwest Tech Week. So the theme for today is going to be Building Bridges, Powering Innovation, Midwest in Action. So I'm going to start off with just a quick prompt question that I love each of you to answer, and then we'll go into intros. So what does Midwest Tech Week mean to you personally or your organization? So I'm going to start over here with Nadiyah.
Yeah, so as founder of Wisconsin Tech Month, Midwest Tech Week to me means building bridges for our neighboring tech hubs.
For me, it's opportunities for people that are not just looking for, their next path, but also for their next, technology project. And
then I'm going to go to Raul.
Sorry, I had to take myself off mute. Midwest Tech Week is building bridges, bringing people ideas and organizations together to help strengthen the region and the tech ecosystem.
Awesome. Julia?
For me, it's being a connector, we have all these amazing organizations, somebody who has worked throughout the Midwest. It's seeing that everybody's kind of working on silos and kind of sharing those pipelines of knowledge and resources is what's huge for me, and that's why I'm here.
And I'll keep it nice and simple. I think, removing obstacles for people and possibilities.
Love it. So we're going to get off with some introductions. So I'm going to ask each of you to introduce who you're representing today, why this is important to you. So Dr. Nadiyah.
Yes, so founder of Milky Way Tech Hub, our overarching goal has been to realize the vision that the city of Milwaukee and now the Midwest region is a tech destination. And this work is particularly important to me because I understand the importance of unifying the entire region around technology, making technology as accessible as possible.
And to piggyback off of what she just said, Latinos in Tech does similar work in the Latino community. We activate mostly during Wisconsin Tech Month. And so we're, always very happy to be connected with Milky Way Tech Hub.
And your full name, please?
Benjamin Juarez.
Thank you. And I'm going to go to Raul, please.
Yeah, I'm Raul Verdusco, the co-host of Automation Breakfast podcast. I share the Automation Breakfast podcast with two other gentlemen. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see them. It's Sandeep and Keegan. And believe it or not, we had Julea as a guest in our last podcast, so please check it out. But, for us, before the podcast, we regularly will meet for breakfast. Talk about automation, technology, and different type of innovations. And so we decided to have these same conversations on the podcast. We started at the beginning of 2025, and, for us is helping us reach more people, connecting leaders, engineers, and entrepreneurs across the Midwest.
Awesome. Julia?
Well, I am excited to have you guys all in this room. I'm Julea Ferrara. I lead the Tech-Korea Midwest Collective, which is made up of Tech-Korea Milwaukee, Tech-Korea Detroit, and Tech-Korea Chicago. So you have us as founding directors sitting here, but also connecting to Tech-Korea Detroit with Raul, seeing that that it was a black and brown led movement for Wisconsin Tech Month. How do we piece that into the connections we have throughout the Midwest? So we've been able to tap into this. This is our second year running with this, and we're hoping to make it bigger. And now with this podcast, kind of meet and share more stories and share, removing the obstacles. How do we have to apply for grants? How do we get more knowledge and resources throughout the Midwest? So I also I run J for our consulting solution, so I know the entrepreneur side, but I also design for global corporate companies, and I sit on America's SAP user group, where we met with top corporate companies on what they are wanting. So we have those seats at those tables to hear what they want, and we can share that information back with everybody.
Awesome.
Awesome. Like amazing people here. My name is Dr. Victor Amaya, and today I'm wearing the hat of the President Executive Director of Data You Can Use. At Data You Can Use, we provide the data and the tools necessary for people to make equitable decisions in Milwaukee and beyond. And I think that what connects me to this Midwest approach and just this idea of bringing people together, that beyond part of our mission, we want to be able to continue partnering beyond Milwaukee, elevate our city, elevate people, but also doing it in a very equitable way by providing current states in terms of data, right? And using data to like really solve the problems, the complex problems that live in our community. For us, democratizing data, it's a way to provide solutions by the community, for the community, and hopefully, find ways to advocate for new programs and new initiatives, such as this one that we're talking about right now.
I love it. And so one thing I'll thread with is, right, we all have a level of entrepreneurship. And we know also nonprofit sectors, and we know about doing all these side hustles, right? So I will dare to say one of the reasons that brings us together in this powerful platform is that we all get it. It's not just about that we hear what happens and the challenges. We actually get it. We're living it. We're breathing it. And I'm going to go to Raul for this, right? I mean, you have a huge, extensive, we just had the privilege of getting to know each other. Thank you through the connection of Julea. But can you tell us a little bit about how you started with the passion in automation and how that morphed into what you're doing right now with your podcast?
How we morphed into it? Well, I'm sorry, repeat the question one more time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, share a little bit about how you're bringing your passion in automation and your expertise into what you're doing in the podcast that you're driving now.
Well, how should I put this? For us, the passion is, right now, things are moving so fast in the automation space, and it gets mixed in with the AI. So everybody thinks AI is a solution. And if anyone who does manufacturing knows, there's a difference between the two. So our goal is to kind of educate people on the differences, what you need to watch out for. And it's not a for-all, be-all solution. And we show examples of different companies, what people are doing, and how fast things are moving right now, and how to prepare for what's going to come in the next 4 or 5 years. Because I think a lot of people right now are, how should I put this? They think it's going to be 10 years down the road. It will actually be 2 years down the road. So I just want people to be able to, or actually Keegan and Sandy and myself, just want people to understand this stuff's moving really fast. Like and just to be prepared for it. And that's what's really important, is to be prepared for it, understand what it is, and understand that this is a tool, it's not a solution.
One awesome tip that I got from their podcast, which I kind of knew about, but we've talked more, was about the H-1B visa process. People don't understand, like, now all these corporations are having to pay $100,000 for the H-1B. How does that impact and trickle down? People don't understand that knowledge right there, what that does, and how we need to pay attention, and how do we need to be in front of that. So little tips and tricks like that is what I've seen them share out there. And it's like, okay, it gets people thinking, how do we come together and fix these issues?
Yeah, and when we talk about the Midwest Collective and what that does, right, in technologies, we're all technologists, but thank you for sharing that. And obviously, we'll be putting all the information to how people can follow your podcast and a lot of what you do. But leading from that, AI. I mean, I know Dr. Nadiyah and I, right, we shared a space last year in the Women's Conference at UWM. I know you were just in a panel recently, right? I mean, this is a trending topic. What would you say is that impact right now and the work that you're driving in this Midwest ecosystem to make sure people are informed?
Well, I'm glad that Raul pointed out that there is a difference between automation and AI. Automation follows rules. AI makes decisions. And both are truly transforming almost every single industry these days. as it relates to AI, I mean, it's becoming more and more democratized. It's hard to go throughout your day without hearing about AI. And whether you like it or not, it is going to change the workforce and the job that you're in some way, shape, or form. And so the work that we're doing with Wisconsin Tech Month and Midwest Tech Week is making sure that our communities have access and educational resources to be an active part of this transformation. Because this is what I am calling a once-in-a-lifetime type of technology. It is truly revolutionary. And I don't want to see the same folks be left behind time after time. And so that's the importance behind this work.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what we do throughout Wisconsin Tech Month is we provide not just the resources, but also how to use these resources. We've had several events where we have taught how to not just use, a chat GPT or something like that. That's like the entry, the gateway, but also like for others that want to get into the deeper, agentic AI type of territory, and also through fine-tuning small models in order to really have a faster and quicker impact in what you do on your day-to-day. So, for example, a small model would be something that could only focus on you summarizing an email, or if you want, food recipes, like a small model could just do that, could just focus on that. And then your impact on the environment, for example, would be a lot less. And you'd get your recipes faster, et cetera. So, things like that people just don't think about. They just like kind of just use the nuclear option all the time, in terms of like ChatGPT and everything like that. We just want to let people know that there are other options out there, and they could use them to really, ramp up their skills in AI.
I have to say, for being in Milwaukee and actually truly expanding into the Midwest realms, I have seen in the corporate industries, nonprofit, and entrepreneurs, everybody's informing everybody of AI. But the reason I work with these individuals here is because they make it sustainable. Mm-hmm. When we meet with leaders from the economic development corporations throughout the Midwest, you meet with angel investors, you meet with different type of people who are help making this boom. Everybody's saying we need more than just information. We want sustainable work. We want to see that you're actually teaching people how to maintain these tools, how to sustain these tools, and the knowledge. So the big part is the knowledge management gaps, is understanding people, culture, and needing the right information at the right time. Being able to work through these avenues of people focus on privacy before accessibility. My tip is, let's start looking at accessibility first and then focusing on privacy, and then how we input the data. That's why working with Dr. Amaya here, he focuses on like what the data output is and how do we put these data models in, and why we team up. And we have an exchange actually coming together where we're going to put together leadership development, cultural mindset changes on top of business transformation with data reporting. That's coming in an exchange soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so one thing before we go to you, Dr. Big, one of the things that you mentioned on a recent Data Day event that you had, and I love that mindset is everything. And I think we all know that. At the basic, we understand that changes people's perspectives about technology, AI, automation, and getting them at the basics of what it means is crucial. How do you feel like from a data perspective, and obviously a nonprofit itself, how do you feel all of this plays a role into all the work that you're doing in the community?
That's a really good question. I think just to like piggyback up from a lot of the conversations, some of the things that people have said, I think, it is about access and not leaving people behind. This is why this group exists. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And the data provides the gaps that exist, right? Dr. Nadiyah mentioned, we won't have an opportunity like this for a long time, right? So we have the opportunity now to close some gaps, whether it's in wealth, whether it's in life expectancy, whether it is on achievement, educational achievement. Like this is a great opportunity for us to be able to level the playing field and be able to do so as a collective and with partnerships, right? And modeling what we want to see in the community. So I think that's our part as a nonprofit and data organization, being able to bring the right people to the communities that we serve. And that's why this is very powerful.
Yeah, no, I love it. And obviously what we're doing here is magical, right? We have literally the Midwest. We have Detroit joining us virtual. When we talk about, the collective ecosystem, this is what we mean, right? We make things happen and we connect. I'm going to go back to you, Raul, and this is more in regards to the work that you're doing in your organization. What would you say are some of the greatest examples or clearly impacts that you're creating right now with the work that you guys are doing that you see are still very much needed in this collective that we're bringing together here?
I'm sorry, you said a lot there, so you came in kind of muffled. Read the question one more time.
Talk about technology. We're like brainstorming here. So what are some examples that you can provide on the work and the impact in the ecosystem you are doing right now with the work you're doing in your community?
Well, let me think. So, the work right now, obviously we're doing a lot of work in, like, for example, my business more in the PLC automation space. And so one of the things it's very consistent throughout the years I've been doing, automation manufacturing, is that sometimes some of the, CEOs, business owners don't understand what they're purchasing and what to purchase. And they get lost in the transition of, okay, this thing should be able to do this. Like sending text messages, like something simple as, oh, we should be able to communicate to this, if the plant is in one state and you're in another, I should be able to view it automatically. And so a lot of these companies get lost in this because somebody promises one thing and then reality is another. And it's mainly because not everybody has a true understanding of every little piece of integration. And so that's one of the reasons why we created this space, is to be able to give examples of this and what people do understand and what they don't understand, and give examples of, okay, if you're going to be doing this, you need to have this in place, whether it's a VPN, whether it's a server, and then you'll be able to account for, I guess you say, future designs. I guess you say, for example, cybersecurity wasn't a thing 5 years ago. I would say 8 years ago. It wasn't really a thing. Now you have to think about it. Now you have to put that in place. And the catch is, what's next? Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of people don't think about. What's next? How do you future-proof your system? So those are all the little things people need to think about, companies need to think about. And like I said, things are moving like that right now.
One example I'd like to hold that connected Taqueria Detroit. We got on a call. We said, hey, let's get who's interested in creating the Taqueria Detroit chapter. So we got a gentleman joining from Skyline Salsa, and we got Raul, who joined from Verdusco Automation. He's Leonardo is a material planner for Stellantis. He goes right to him and he's like, hey, I can work with you on getting automation for my day job. And not only are we coming together as a community, but now I got an additional resource. Now he's got a direct contact of somebody in Stellantis who wants it. So right there, we helped a material planner. So you never know who you're going to meet in these spaces. That's what I tell people, because people think you have to go right to the CIOs, the CEOs. Sometimes you need to go to those material planners. You need those people in these workspaces. Having these collectives allows us to have those conversations and get to those people so you can get the tools you need right away. Mm-hmm.
Which is an awesome segue right into everything we're talking about, ecosystem. I think the power in having conversations, collectiveness, coming together as teams is that, again, we know how this works. We feel it, we live it, we breathe it every single day. And I want to go back to not only the work that Wisconsin Techman has been doing, but a lot of we saw the need, right? But can you provide some examples similarly on how you're impacting the ecosystem today? And I'm going to add a twist in there. We both know the challenges of our brown and black people in our communities, not just understanding the basics of technology, but then how to foster it, right? How to amplify it, how to get on board. And like Raul said, things are moving so quickly, yet as society, we're just not moving as quickly. Mm-hmm. So what would you say are some of those lessons learned for you guys?
Well, as it relates to ecosystem building, I mean, this is the work that I've been doing with Milky Way Tech Hub for almost 8 years come this November. And I think that it is best exemplified through our work with Wisconsin Tech Month in driving awareness and transparency across the ecosystem, right? What actually exists? Who actually is out there? And one way to do that is by doing so with a collective force. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do during October. We bring everybody together and we say, put yourself out there. Here is the map, so to speak, in the form of a calendar, right? Host your events. And those who are looking for you will be able to find you, right? So we create this platform for awareness, for amplification that strengthens our ecosystem so that it doesn't just occur in the month of October, but whatever events and connections that happen this month continue on throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree. One of our, I think maybe the second year, we connected with Mitobite, yes, with Joe and Alan. And from there, we just decided let's work closer and closer. And now, they help us with a lot of like a lot of the hands-on tech events throughout the month. And it's been great. And that has now been going on for almost 3 years now. So we want to continue those conversations throughout. From something might be happening here in Milwaukee. Somebody comes up from Chicago, they meet people. And we've had that before. And then all of a sudden we're going down to Chicago too, to connect with them, to get some more hands-on, happening, because it's the hands-on that's going to really help teach and inspire the people that that we want to impact. Right. So all throughout, the different states. And so I'm just like, I'm really inspired by what has happened throughout Wisconsin Tech Month, and then what's going to be happening throughout the years coming through with Midwest Tech Week. And so that's what I'm hoping for, and I know that Julia is excited about it too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to say, with coming here again 4 years and noticing the gaps, being in those corporate spaces and being in the ASUG leadership team, we hear, hey, Sargento Food have these issues, Lakeside, General Motors, all these big companies that thrive this ecosystem. You're learning what gaps they're having. They don't have the overhead to do the internal stuff, but they need that certification stuff. So we're building those things out, and me being able to go back to my clients in Detroit for Detroit Homecoming, we found that Detroit Design Week happens that whole week. So Midwest leaders are like, hey, we need more than a week. We want to do a month. So we're talking about how do we make that look for next year. But that has allowed open doors for me to now be in Chicago in 1871. I'm in a cohort as one of the first Latin founders, where now our exchange of what we're trying to do is building that up. So we've been meeting with economic development leaders to share, this is what best practices. You have to share with each technologist group best practice of what works and what doesn't. The biggest thing that we're transitioning from is federal funding to private funding. Everybody's like, what do we do? Internally, we're like, what do we do? We're getting those tips and tricks right now as we're talking. And I'm excited because now we're like, there's way more funding coming down. And hopefully next year we can do a Midwest Showcase tour.
Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up, that specific question with, as I'm listening to my colleagues talk about, their thoughts, the first thing that comes to mind is like, we've all experienced what it felt like to have access to something, right? And we lived in those communities, and we, we've seen the siloed work, and that's the passion and this little fire that you feel when everyone's talking here, because we want to see something different, right? So I think organizations or like ours, but also events like, like what we're doing for this whole month, this week, as well as your platform, is really important because we're reaching those people, right? It's really important, like, who else can we reach? Who else haven't we reached? And I think that's really important to consider. And taking our own lived experience and using that as a superpower, right? And that's what we're doing here.
And doing it in celebration. I'll have to plug an event that we're doing in Detroit. It's with the Pistons. It's about Latino representation, but also we're celebrating the Day of the Dead on how we honor our families, at the same time bringing people together to celebrate and say, come to watch basketball, come learn about technology, learn how Latinos can represent more. You're taking all those things. So we're teaching people how to feed multiple birds with one hand instead of killing birds with multiple strands.
And that's an awesome point, right? Because I think part of what we're doing here is showcasing not just our lived experiences, our expertise, but our culture. Like, I know we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. You have a closing event here for Wisconsin Tech Month, right? Where you're going to celebrate Halloween. So I think that's so important, because that's important right now, especially in today's environment. We won't get into politics, but we know that showing up and the power of showcasing by doing is so crucial. So I want to pivot a little bit. So I love to ask you, each of you, to share, if you guys could and had the power to make the changes to how you wanted, what would that look like today? Whether it's funding or making sure that you're reaching people, audiences. So I'll start here with Dr. Nadiyah.
If I couldn't fail, what would I pursue? Okay. I think that, one of the things I would just love to see is anybody who wants to get into the field of technology has actually the opportunity to thrive. And right now, I feel like there's individuals who have so many barriers, whether they be mental and think that I'm not a genius, so I can't get in the field of technology, or they feel isolated, so they don't know where their community is. I think that those barriers still exist. And if I could, realize my wildest dreams is that any and everybody in the Midwest, if they wanted to thrive in technology, they had every opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and I would love to see like a nice big pot of money, just to make, to help people, help them fail, to not be afraid to fail. So, for example, if you have an idea to start some sort of like, tech idea solution, you would have like the money there for you to work with somebody and to essentially either fail or scale, so then they can, we can see people just, kind of grow from that, because most people will fail, let's be honest, but we don't want them to be afraid of that.
Having the opportunity to fail is a gift.
It's a gift.
Fail
right.
fast, get up faster.
Exactly.
Lessons learned.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's
don't have that
exactly. A lot of people don't have that opportunity, and so that would be my ideal situation where we would allow for people to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to you, Raul. Are you tracking with that?
Yeah, and then just to piggyback off what you guys are talking about, what was it? For me, I think as part of it is the education system, is that they don't teach us it's okay to fail. And for example, one of the business books I like reading is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. In the book, he talks about, and he wrote about 8 other books, to be honest with you. If you read all of them, you'll definitely have tremendous knowledge about it's okay to fail. In the military, they teach you it's okay to fail. They want you to fail because you learn from failure. And that's, in my opinion, one of the things that the school system doesn't really teach. It's okay to fail. It's okay to screw up. And in technology, you're going to screw up. I mean, I forgot the gentleman who invented the light bulb, but I think he, I don't know what's the number, like 600 times before he got the damn thing to work. So, it's okay to fail, and that's something that I guess you say a lot of young kids don't understand. It's okay. So don't be afraid to fail. That's to me is the biggest thing in the world. It's okay to screw up. Learn from it. That's what's important.
Little okay, some water
So off of that, I've learned a lot of people don't understand what technology is. Everybody thinks technology is coded. And for people to understand how to access it, you have to understand what it is. And we have it in every aspect of our lives. It's every aspect in every industry. When I start talking to funders, whether it's corporate, any space, they're like, how do I relate to this? And I'm like, we all do through technology. And once you capture them there, even people attending events saying, oh, I should attend this event because I can scan my vitamin bottle and hit, I don't understand what this is. And all I have to do is scan my vitamin bottle and learn these things about what's in my vitamin, applying it to everyday things. So for me, not only the funding, but is that people were aware what is technology and not to be afraid of it.
I'm gonna piggyback off of all of that because I agree. But I think what I first think about is what I can control, right? I think there's all these external factors that I think are very real, right? That we experience, particularly like a family, trying to take a risk to do something different, and like if they fail, that means the end of it for them, right? So yes, I agree with all that. I think if I had like the power to change something, I think a mindset, an individual's mindset, I think would be the first thing that I would think about. And it's something that I constantly work on for myself. Sometimes we think we need to have everything figured out, right? Many people have, some people think like I'm a researcher. I'm actually a practitioner. What does that mean? It's like, I just try things, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I move on. And that's very relatable to technology and like advancement, right? But they don't teach us that very early on. So what I would say is, I would try to, change an individual's mindset to look at the opportunity and rather at the deficit of something. And, our minds are wired to look at very specific things. But, if we can remove that doubt that people have, they're ready to take that step, and like, that step can mean a huge advancement for them, and they're afraid to do so. I think, taking that away would be, something that I would want to do. And then, and I think we can do, right, with programs like this, right? When people see other people doing the same things, they're like, well, man, if they did it, then I can do it too. That's what's very important for us to continue, right, and not be stagnant. And I'm really proud to be seated down here with everyone that has shown time and time again that when things don't go right, there's a productive struggle that we got to go through, and then we make it somehow, right? So, and then continue to advance that for the next generation.
I love that. And I think a lot of what I'm hearing in the thread is showing up, role modeling, walking the walk, talking the talk, right? Like, we're doers in our communities. We're learning and doing things because we felt it through our experiences. And then we talk about those gaps. But I think this is beyond inclusion as well. We want to make sure that we're including the right people at the right time for the right stakeholding. So I'm going to go a little bit into, I'd love for each of you to share a little bit about the journey and the pains. We talk about the failing, how important it is failing and getting to where we are. But talk about some of those pains and those gaps that you have each seen in your respective fields, your area of work, your expertise, what you're living through right now that will get us closer into working collectively to close that gap. So I don't know, whoever wants to start here.
I can start. I want to share a win, and a win was utilizing technology to, as we've shared on your podcast previously, going back and finding my biological family. That, hey, you can do this. You can connect, and now we're connecting more people to. You can utilize DNA and you can connect to these people. And I didn't even know the language. So I know it enough, but to translate. So then that was a win. A very hard thing for me is my eyesight is going on me. I am now on disability. I'm working very close to the National Disability Institute, and now we're making waves where how do we make disability more available in technology? How do we make those who, I'm like, I can still do all the things, but how can I work with these things to help me and, realize that we have different parts in our lives where we're growing. That doesn't mean, it's just how do we adapt? So teaching people how to adapt to it.
I love that. That's true impact right there. Okay, would like to go next, Ben?
Oh, could you repeat the question one more time? I got enthralled.
An example of a pain or lived experience that has gotten you to where you are today.
Lived experience. So when I was learning to code, actually, I had just turned 30. I woke up on my birthday and I said, I'm going to learn to code. Right? I had always wanted to, but that day was the day. And so I started to learn Python, and mainly because I am a data engineer and data scientist, sorry. And then I wanted to become a better, essentially, statistician, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to build a statistics package using Python. And that's what I did. It took me a very long time. It was grueling because, I was just learning how to do it. And then all of a sudden something clicked in me and I said, wow, okay, I reached this point where I'm like, I can learn other languages now just because I know object-oriented programming, Python. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, when I was 12, nobody came to me and told me I could do this, but I know I could have. I was teaching, I was tutoring kids trigonometry in high school. How did I not get into this, And so, that was one of my things. And that's when I had first started Cream City Coders, when I started teaching kids how to code and all these things, and then moved on from there to Icy Stars, shout out to them. And so to teach, at Icy Stars. And ever since that moment, I've always been telling, younger kids, you can do this, you can, because nobody said I could when I was, a young, in my younger days.
Young lad.
Those are really good examples. And I think for me, lived experience wise is, moving to a new country and being undocumented was definitely like an obstacle that I think I had to go through with my family and friends. But then here's where a superpower comes in, right? There's little things that are culture that we know that there's nothing is impossible. And I had this thing in my head. I'm like, where there's a Mexican, there's always a way. And I saw, I saw my parents figuring out how to put a meal at the table or how, to get to work when the car doesn't work. Right. So I think, all of that really taught me that, when I see some obstacles, just to figure it out, which is very interesting because a lot of the projects I take on, I don't know. I have no idea how to do them most of the time. I don't have an answer to. And, in research, that's what you do, right? There's a question that you're like, I think I could answer it. I don't know. But I've enjoyed that process. I've learned to enjoy that process where I'm putting together this, different pieces, maybe even like a puzzle together that I think is very unique. And I'm hoping that other people can see that it's possible to overcome those obstacles and still gain some skill sets that can help you in your work, in your daily work. So
I love that. And we all relate to that, right? Learning to the pains. And again, this is exactly what it is. It's we just figure it out until we didn't have a choice. We had to figure it out. Raul, I'm going to go to you before we come back to Dr. Nadiyah.
Yeah, so I'll relate to a personal experience I had. Back in 2008, I graduated college and I got put on a job at a engine plant where they were upgrading 8 test cells. They had 1.5 completed, and the manager wanted me to pick up on where these guys left off and get these other 7.5 cells going, and so, or 6.5. And for me, it was I'm just graduated college. I'm probably soaking wet, 8 months or 6 months out of school, and I got to get these 8 cells running all together, and so it was a real challenge in the beginning. And then, just working with electricians, working with other engineers, learning from them, and they helped me along the process. And experience is everything, and learn from those guys, asking the right questions, because that's one thing I learned when I had my intern, and when I was working on General Motors. She asked all the right questions, and it was great. Somebody who wants to learn, who asks the right questions. That's what's important. Ask the right questions. And she was able to pick great things right off. And for me, I was able to pick right up and actually complete the test cells. And then we got our last 10 or 20% on the work. And so, off I went. So that's, I guess you say that's mine. I, started off in rough and, got through it. So just like I said, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Don't quit.
I love that. And this is why the podcast is called Trascendencia en Acción, because these are what I call transcending moments. It's what it sends you off into a path you never knew was there. You just got through it. So, Dr. Nadiyah?
Well, I love the question, and I have experienced many failures along with successes. And this question makes me reflect on the very start of my career, where, similar to Benjamin, I mean, there were some grueling times in learning how to code and learning that to pursue a bachelor's in computer science, I would need as many math classes as a math minor. And guess who has 2 thumbs and sucks at math, at least at the time? This girl. And so, there was a lot of challenges there. And then to push through, right? Because everybody has that pivot or persevere moment. Get the bachelor's degree, get the master's degree, and then start to realize around 2017 that, oh, look, there's a budding tech ecosystem here. Going to these different events to learn about how they're looking to make the city of Milwaukee a tech hub, and then realizing that there was some huge gaps there, and that very, very few people in that room looked like me. And every now and then I'd be the only one. And I became very angry. And it was my pastor who told me that it's okay to lean into anger. You wouldn't expect that from a pastor, right? Shout out to Pastor Brian. And then I said, well, what do you mean? Well, of course, I serve a table flip in Jesus. But at the same time, he says that anger points to what you really care about. And come to find out, I really cared about that. And what you really care about sometimes points you to your purpose. Come to find out, I would end up being CEO, founder of Milky Way Tech Hub, creating a whole table and an ecosystem for our communities. And so I think that sometimes you have to really lean into those tough experiences, even your anger, right? Or whatever emotions that you're feeling, and use that. Listen to what you're experiencing to kind of be a light to your feet so you know which way to go.
I love that. Yeah. And, you said something there that just like went immediately to a trigger. It's almost like when somebody challenges your thought and who you are and the core of what you're made of. And then, right, because I can say very similarly to Dr. Vic's story, my parents migrated here very young, but then I became a mom. I was actually studying to be a software computer programmer.
Really?
And then I got pregnant at 18. So I got married, I dropped off of college, and then became a mom. And then I started in a corporate world where not everybody looked like me. And I remember it was manufacturing. So I was normally the only and first one. And then I started growing in my leadership journey. And I started seeing all of that. The gaps, the challenges. You're a woman, you're young, you can't do this, you don't know this. And then I took it from there and I was like, watch me, right? And then it's been pivotal from there. But one of the things that has always stayed with me is always going towards why am I doing this? And it's always to give back and to help and influence, right? Normally without expecting something in return, obviously, but somehow the magic happens, right? And I think that's the power of the collective. So one of the things that I like to move us very quickly here is I love for each of you to share the name of your platform. Where can people find you? We'll be uploading this on YouTube, but for those that are listening in audio only, tell them where they can find you and what is coming up for your respective organizations. And I'll start here, Dr. Nadiyah.
Yep. CEO and founder of Milky Way Tech Hub. So throughout the year, MilkyWayTechHub.com. In the month of October, you can literally find a calendar where I will be physically, witechmonth.com.
Basically the same thing. Yeah. Latinosin.tech as well, if you want to check that out. And then on LinkedIn, Ben Juarez. And then on Instagram at Ben Juarez83.
Julia Ferrara. So I have all my socials, LinkedIn. Find me there. But through Techeria Detroit, Techeria Milwaukee, we're going to be coming up Techeria Midwest Collective. I'm in the 1871 program and on the ASUG board. So I'm going to be in very many spaces. What I've learned is you have to be in all these spaces educating people. So you'll definitely find me.
And if you want to know about what data you can use is up to, what events are coming up, it's www.datayoucanuse.org, and data you can use across all the platforms, LinkedIn, Insta, and all of that.
Yeah, again, co-founder of Automation Breakfast. You can find us on, we have our own website, automationbreakfast.com, and also on YouTube. We're going to be doing a podcast kind of based around Thanksgiving. So I probably had this robot over here flip a pancake, flip a turkey around.
There you go. Make sure it's a Lions one, because the Lions are playing the Packers this Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully, I want the Lions to win. So they can
Go Lions.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be a nice Thanksgiving.
All right. And did you mention where people can find you?
Yeah. Automationbreakfast.com and also on YouTube. Just type in Automation Breakfast. He'll be the first one coming up. You'll probably see Julia on there. She'll be one of our biggest hits on the shorts.
We're gonna be sharing that soon.
Awesome. All right, so we're coming up here on time, and we're gonna be wrapping this up. Obviously, a lot of what we've been talking a lot is collaboration, collectiveness, the power of innovation, showcasing, showing up, learning from lessons learned, learning through pains. Fail fast, get up faster, but don't be afraid to fail. Catch up with technology, catch up with everything happening, because it's moving at a rapid, fast pace than our brains can process. But as we're wrapping everything here, I would love for each of you to just give me one word that captures the spirit of what Midwest Tech Week means to you.
Collaboration.
Opportunity.
Community.
Elevation.
Raul?
Networking.
Love it. I would say collectiveness. And this is the power of us showing up in here. So we're going to be wrapping this up. Thanks to each and every one of you. I love the collaboration. This is just the beginning of amazing things that you'll be hearing and seeing across all the Midwest. Check out all of the things happening. You heard the site. We'll be posting everything on our platforms as well, so you can follow the links and click follow to each one of them. But this has been one more episode of Trascendencia en Acción. Thanks for staying with us. If you want to listen to this in Spanish, I always tell you, go to YouTube, use the closed captions, and you'll have all the translations for you. So thanks, everyone. Have a great one.
Thank
Thank you.